Today's video is something a little bit different. Recently, I had the opportunity to do some coaching and training at a 2-day Armored Combat Buhurt camp held at Yield Commons, one of the training facilities for the Knights Hall. And during that camp, we got to go through 2 days of coaching, training, drills, other stuff. But I was able to start and open with a lecture on coachability and ego and how to become a better fighter. So this was recorded. The audio is not great. It was recorded on a cell phone as I talked, but I thought it'd be worth sharing, and I wanted to put that here for all of you. So stay tuned after the opening and watch this little lecture and learn how to be more coachable and able to use your ego to be a better fighter in the list. All right, before we jump into that though, I'm going to ask again that you go to my website below and buy some of my merch. Look at this cool hat you can get. So I have hats, t-shirts, a whole bunch of other stuff. Help support my channel. I am sponsoring myself essentially in these videos. So if you go down that link below, you can buy my stuff. And now we're going to go on and talk about coachability and ego. Yeah! Speaking of ego. So we have a fair number of people who come to the sport from very different backgrounds. Some people have a huge experience in different sports, and they've been through a lot of coaching. This is the first time they've done a competitive sport, right? And people approach it very differently. And over the years of coaching, I've observed a few things that I think people sometimes struggle with, and if they can get over it, they can learn much faster, right? And I think what it comes down to is the ego is a double-sided coin in this sport. To be very good at this, you have to have ego. You have to believe in yourself. You have to get into that list and think, that other motherfucker across there is not as good as me, and I'm going to beat them, right? And you have to believe that even when you're wrong, which happens sometimes. If you go in there afraid, you're not going to win, right? If you go in there thinking, I can't do it, you're not going to win. However, that ego mindset, when translated into coaching and training, is a huge detriment. And one of the areas I want people to think about when they're going in and getting coaching, getting feedback, and getting messaging is, what are you trying to get out of it, and how people learn best? So I'm going to give a very real example that I've seen a lot of people do, and probably some people in this room have done it when they first came in, right? We'll teach a brand new person how to swing a sword. And we'll give them their stance, and we'll tell them how to swing a sword, and the first thing they'll say is, oh, but I do it this way. Or, I did this because. And they explain why they did things, right? So I want you to think, anytime you're being given coaching by anyone who's a trainer, a coach, someone who's there to help you, if your first response is, here's why I did something, you're probably not learning. It doesn't mean everything you hear is going to be beneficial. I've definitely been given feedback that's wrong, and coaching that's incorrect for me, or coaching that doesn't work for various reasons, right? That's okay. You have to take that feedback and go, okay, thank you, and think about what, if anything, you can take from it. So I think it's really important with your mindset. Anything we're showing today, there's going to be something that we do today that does not work for you. Literally doesn't work. Because your body style is different, your mechanics are different. There's certain things that I don't do well because I am not known as being very flexible. Yeah, it's not my skill, right? There are certain moves that the cat has taught, and I go, oh, I get that because I'm big, strong boy. And small, little person goes, I don't get that. And that's okay. Take what you can from it, and you have to modify it or ask questions. Clarifying questions are great. Hey, I'm trying this. Can you explain how this works? Or I don't think I get this. That is coming with low ego, high intent to learn, right? If you're coming with, here's why I did this, or here's why I did it, it's not going to be beneficial for you. Now, some people's brains literally process that way. They are contrarian by nature. I'm going to tell you that you have to learn not to express that. Because what it does, one, tells your coach, I don't want to give you more feedback, you're not listening. Two, it pulls often that coach or trainer out of teaching a class of people things, because now they're countering your individual point, right? So you have to say, okay, I want to say that, or I think I know, or I understand why I did it. And there have been many times that I've been getting feedback and I go, I know why I did something. And I genuinely do. I know why I made that move, and I know why I did it. That's okay. I don't need to verbalize it, vocalize it, and stop the training at that moment. That makes sense to everybody? Yeah. So there's a real balance between believing you know what you're doing when you're out there fighting, and knowing when you're training you don't know what you're doing, and learning. And I'm talking about everyone up here who's coaching, like, there's so many things I don't know. And there's so many things that I'm going to teach what I know. And there's things I'm going to say, hey, wow, I learned that today. I'm going to learn things from people that Dustin's going to work on some throws, and I've done these throws 100 times, and I'm still going to go, I didn't realize that my foot had to be here, and now I learned that thing, right? So it's about taking what you can from it. There's a phrase that I really, really hate that I hear a lot in coaching and training worlds. It's called celebrating failure. I don't like to celebrate failure. I don't think it's a good idea. I think what you should do is redefine what success is. So we're doing a throw, we're doing a move, and you fail at it. I'm not celebrating the fact that I did it wrong, but I'm looking at what's the thing that I learned? What's the next piece I understood, right? Anyone here who's done lifting has done lifting to failure, right? It's not the failure part we like. It's the lifting part to get to that failure. It's all the work you did up to it that you're celebrating. I don't want to fail that lift. I'd rather lift one more thing a little heavier, right? I don't celebrate the failure, but I succeed up until I fail, and then next time I try to grow a little bit more. So that's the mindset we want to take into everything we're doing today. And that's the mindset you want to take home if you're taking home to your own school, your own gym, or if you're training at the hall, or if you're teaching other people someday. It's how do you get people to learn? And you got to get them to learn by first being willing to listen. You're willing to listen by shutting down your own ego and understanding that you're here to teach something. And everyone has something they can share, right? I just gave that example of the new person who says, I know how to swing a sword, and they don't listen. They may know things that I don't know. And at some point, there'll be a point where I can listen to them once they've understood the basics, right? I've also seen indefinitely, lots of sword classes, like in that example, where you have more experienced people who are doing things slightly differently. Why? Because they've been working through it, right? Or I'll give a real example. Joe and I, often at class, will pull ourselves aside and we'll adjust something because we're both lefties. And so Dustin will teach a combo, and I will ask Dustin, hey, does this work with the lefty combo? And Dustin, because I'm asking a question, instead of saying, no, Dustin, here's why I do it this way. And Dustin will say, hey, that's either here, yes, it does, or no, more, change it this way. And then Joe and I will work on it slightly different, right? But it's the asking the question, listening, understanding, taking that feedback, and implementing it. If you can do those things in that order, instead of immediately going, here's why I do it this way, or no, or whatever, you're going to be a much better fighter.
This is an ego response.
Yes, ego response. Now we've talked about the ego of fighting and the ego of training. There's a third ego spot, which is the hardest part to do. It's the ego of taking feedback while fighting. Right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the fighter, but also the coach here, right? And what I'm so we'll use an example, right? Pro fight, night fight, a one-on-one fight, when there's in between rounds, you come back, right? Whatever someone tells you when you come back and you listen to your corner, you agree with. That's the rule, right? That's the way you become a better fighter. Because you're in the middle of that fight, and you are making decisions based off reactions you're seeing, while your corner should be watching and going, oh wow, you really messed this up, you don't understand this, or I see an opening. So when that corner comes back and says, hey, Amari, out there, they're leaving their right side open. You need to swing at it. Or, I need you to, give me more than one combo or swing one. The correct answer is, yes, okay, go do that.
Yes, chef.
Yeah, it's yes, chef, right? Yeah. Here's the reality. Sometimes you lose because your corner sucks.
Oh, that's true too. Yes.
And then the feedback and the coaching in your corner is, why did you give me that information? And that's how you get better corners too, right? If you want to be better at the sport, you have to have good fighters, you have to have good coaches. You become a good coach by giving feedback, and you become a good fighter by listening to it, and you work together.
Can I add to that? It
Yes.
has to be non-emotional.
Yeah.
You have to kind of divorce yourself from your ego and go from the loss and the win, and kind of think about it intellectually. You go, hey, how am I learning this? Even while you're in the fight, right? You're not seeing red and you can't control yourself, man. Like you're in a moment, even though you're in a fight, that you can take feedback. Don't be a dick because you're fighting. And that happens a lot.
Yeah. One pro fight that always sticks with me is one that I lost because my corner gave me very bad information. However, I still look at that as an opportunity where I followed the instruction and I did what I thought it was supposed to, what I was told to do. And after we did a retrospective, we watched the tape, we talked about it, we understood why it was bad advice. Right? Corner made a mistake. It's okay. Just like fighters make a mistake. But you will never get better if someone doesn't make a decision and you act on that decision. I cannot tell you the number of times with newer fighters when I've been cornering for them and I tell them something, their first thing is, no, I'm doing it because of this. And my answer is, you need to shut up right now. Because you're fighting and I'm coaching, right?
You don't know.
Yeah. It's very, very important that you listen because you cannot diagnose while you're in a fight. You can make decisions, you're going to make snap decisions, you cannot diagnose. Right? It should be your corner's job to diagnose, right? And then if we go to melee teams, if you have a good coach in a melee, they should be observing and making calls. And this goes to one of my mantras that I live with my entire life. Some of you have heard this story, so I apologize if you've heard it before, but I will share it. When I was in high school as a freshman, I played football for my school team. We were at a practice. And I was a lineman, and I think it was an A-B call. So A meant go left and block, B meant go right and block. And I forgot which was A and which was B. So it was just a drill, just a practice, weren't, whatever. So they call the play, we go up, and we do the play, and I just stand there, because I couldn't remember what to do. And my coach, who I love to this day, came up to me, grabbed my helmet, and said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I said to him, I couldn't remember what to do. I couldn't remember if it was A or B or whatever. And he said to me, he said, "When in doubt, hit something." And that has stuck with me my entire life. Now, at work, I have to change it to "when in doubt, do something." HR does not like it when I say "when in doubt, hit something" to academic advisors. But, yeah, so when I do something. So, what I mean by that is when in doubt, make a decision, right? You're going to have to make a choice. And when you're having a choice, the coach should be telling you what that choice should be, and you should be listening to that, right? So if you don't know what to do, make a choice. But when you come out and they say, "Hey, we're going to change the lineup for this fives because we see this here, we want to play this play." If everyone does what they're supposed to, you have a chance of winning. If everyone goes, "I'm going to do my own thing," your chance of winning immediately goes down. You have to make a choice, commit to that choice, and do it. So that's the kind of mindset you want to have when you're fighting, and when you're being coached with a mindset of listening, learning, and absorbing. And we've had examples of people who come to these trainings, and we teach them something, they go, "Well, that'll never work in this." And we go, "Okay, well, you're now disrupting a class, you're pulling one out of it, and also you don't understand the conditions in which it will work. Or maybe we're wrong. Maybe it doesn't work. Okay. Don't use it." Right? There's certain things that I go, "That doesn't work for me, don't use it." But you have to make the decision when you're in the fight. You have to make a choice, and that choice should be clear, concise, and your team should make it together. Listen to your coach, and when you're in training, you need to take, absorb, and understand, because there's almost always something you can take from feedback. Make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
All right, lecture over, I'm out of the throat.
Chuck.